orientation programs. So basically the parts where they introduce the new students to the environment of the school.
You people are stressing me, and I'm sure you people were stressing me that period.
Which is not today's price. Hi guys, my name is Nancy. I go by Nancy K here on YouTube. I'm a content creator based in Tbilisi, Georgia. And I'm also a business owner, a student, name it all. I've got it. So in today's video, it will be I want to call it a follow-up. It's not really a follow-up, but it's an updated video on what to expect if you're coming to Georgia. So I do one of these now, maybe once or twice in a year. So this is my update for the year. Let's get into the video. I'll be highlighting a couple of things like visa, housing, community, food, and survival. And these things, I will be building on them. They have like mini subcategories, and as video progresses, it will make sense. So I think one of the things that I'll be talking about, because I'm Nigerian, if you don't know, maybe I didn't mention that in my intro. So when coming here, you need a visa to come into the country. You need a Georgian, UK, US, or a Schengen visa. The path that I used a Georgian visa, but that has proven very difficult in recent times. But I digress, and I think I've addressed it in my last Q&A. If you want to see what I said about that, it will be linked somewhere here. But ideally now, how students come into the country is with a UK, US, or Schengen visas, one or the other. Then when they get into the country, then they switch to their resident permit to be able to remain in the country. So as a Nigerian, there's not much on that. I don't think there has been a recent update. The only thing I know of is even with the fact that with the US, UK, or Schengen route, people are still being turned away at the airport. And I think for that, the stories I've heard personally is also lack of preparedness. They were not prepared on what to do or say, you know, when they got to immigration and all of that. So I think most of them ended up making so many mistakes, and they happened to be fresh, brand new students. It was just like they were literally taken to the slaughterhouse. So most of them were turned back, and from what I understood from the conversations I had with them, I think they made mistakes that I think had to do with them and not necessarily the immigration. Yeah. So ideally for Nigerians, you need a visa to come here. But for other people, South Africans, I just heard recently that I thought they needed a visa to come here, but South Africans don't need a visa to come here. But so yeah, that's cool. The Georgian visa route for that, yeah, there's not much going on that front. I have to be honest. Like, people aren't even getting that as much, especially if you're going to like the countries in Africa that offer them. I've seen people get them in other countries that are not Africa. So I really don't know what to say about that. I do, but I'd rather not. But yeah, let's move on to the next thing. I think for Indians, I'm not sure, but I believe that they also require visas. So I want to believe it's the same process to come in, and then you switch your visa to your temporary resident permits, and basically goes from there. If I'm wrong, correct me. So the next thing that I want to talk about is food, because you know, who doesn't love food? And even the fact that you're going away from home, that means you're not going to be getting the type of foods that you would get every single day, depending on where you are. So food is a major thing here. I know for like the Indians here, there are like stores that are literally Indian stores. Like they have an established community in a way here when it comes to food. Personally, I get my curry from an Indian store. So I think the Indians, in a way, they are kind of sorted when it comes to food. But for other nationalities, Nigerians, to a certain degree, we have people who actually sell Nigerian food items like yam, plantain, all of that. And yeah, there's like a group for that where people get to like buy and sell these things that, we eat: milk, Milo, what else? Anything you can think of, you know, they would most likely have it. So the problem I think is for other nationalities that are not as populated or as big as, Indians or Nigerians. I don't know. I personally don't know if there is a market per se for them. But I want to believe people find their way to get things in, because I'm pretty sure nobody is staying a whole year without eating their home food. I don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that. There's no way. So, but I'm sure people are figuring out ways to, feel at home with their food. So on that front, food here, if you're Indian, South African, Nigerian, I'm sure everybody finds a way. The ones that I know that are in your face is the Indians and the Nigerians. And I also believe the Nigerians is because we have like restaurants here in the country that cater to Nigerian people generally. As for the community part, like I already mentioned, there are Indian stores, so it means there is a large percentage of people of, that demographic, and there are Nigerians. There's also a large to a certain degree, a large demographic for that. South Africans, Zimbabweans, and yeah, like other African nations as well. I I won't say they're as large, but there's definitely let me just say envelope it as there's a community of Black people to a certain degree. So I don't think you really feel left out if you're coming from, let's say, an African country or wherever it is you're coming from. Indians have a very big presence or big community. So for them, I don't really think it's so hard for them to integrate compared to, let's say, somebody from Angola. Like, I don't think I've ever met anybody here who's actually from Angola. But still, you're definitely going to meet people that are Black and most likely the same skin color as you. I think it's in the hopes that most likely my audience is Black. I want to believe, because, yeah, we definitely have people that come in from, different countries that are not Black that watch my content. But I think my concerns and um queries come from Black people. So I'm just trying to address it from that point of view and not make anybody that's not Black feel some type of way. You feel me? So yeah, there are communities even for people. I've seen a lot of people from Jordan. So I don't think you will really feel left out if, I don't really think you feel left out. So on that front, I think you will be fine. It's just meeting the right people at the end of the day. So one of the most important ones I want to speak about is housing. So I made a video about a year ago, and I watched that video before I filmed this, and I was laughing because it was giving.
You people are stressing me, and I'm sure you people were stressing me that period, because the way I introduced, I'm like, you people should ask these questions in the comments,
Because I mean, it's just me. There's just me answering like a bunch of people. And that time I was getting a lot of messages and I was so overwhelmed with school and everything. And I was just like, let me breathe. Let me breathe. But yeah, in that video, I mentioned how to get accommodation, the cost at that time, which is not today's price, and, just a bunch of things that I feel like were relevant at that time. And I'm adding it in this video because if you look around the world, there's inflation everywhere. So the housing market is not left out. In fact, it's like one of the things here that has skyrocketed to a very unhealthy amount. Okay? Like, let's petition to have apartments back to like $300 for 2 bedrooms, because what? Or a 1 bedroom. And like I said in that video, and I will still say it again, you know, there is like a base rate and there is a rate that I feel is based on your taste. And if you're someone who just doesn't want to live anywhere, anyhow, then ideally for a one bedroom. Also, an influencing factor or another factor to this would definitely be the location of your school. Ideally, people want to live close enough to school. So, depending on your school, if your school is like SEU, you probably want to live around there. Apartments there are not necessarily the cheapest. So, I would say that apartments are for a good one bedroom, a bit of a stretch, and this is me trying to really lowball it. It's like 350 to 400 if you want something nice. In some areas you will not see 350. I need to say that. There are some areas you will not see anything as nice with 350. But there are some areas that you will see something as nice as 350. Like if you're going to stay in like Didi Digomi, you might see something decent for 350. But if you want to get something nice that you'll be comfortable in, then anywhere from like 400 to 500 is now the new base price for apartments. It's crazy because I mean, when I came, apartments were not this high, but is inflation anybody's mate? Of course not. So if one bedroom is around that, two bedrooms ideally is from like 500 USD and above. So for anything that's nice, anything below that, I'm not even sure you would see. And most important, if you see, I promise you, you might not want to live there. You might not want to live there because it would be in, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it to you except you're in here. But ideally, you might not like anything. Even if you're looking for 400, you might not like it. But then again, this, like I said, is based on your taste. You might want to overlook all the comfort and just be like, I just want a house. Bad as a bad, I want a house. And if that's you, you might take a long time to find a house, but you will find. But ideally, let your budget just be depending on the area, or some areas you might not see 500. Let me just talk through, but some areas you would. A huge influencing factor is the area. So, but ideally, let's just start from 500 for a two bedroom and 350 and above for a one bedroom. And if you're new and you're considering the fact that, let's say, $400 is a lot for you, people share apartments even, without knowing each other. You just have to find a way or get in touch with people who help people find apartments. And you can say, I'm going to put a link in my description for you to send a DM. And you can send a DM to me and I'll be able to help with that, with sharing apartments. Also, if you're coming into the country and you're new, because I've had people text me, oh, I'm going to be staying in a hotel. Will I be able to get an apartment as soon as possible? Like I always say, it's not easy to say, oh, yes, you'll find an apartment in a week. I can't really say that. Or you'll find in 2 weeks. I can't really say that because, like I said, your taste and what you want and your budgets will influence how fast you get an apartment. And ideally, people text me, I think now because of how the apartment market is, people ideally want to find an apartment before they come into the country. And because, yeah, when you think about staying in an Airbnb, a hotel, or even the daily rent, I spoke about that. If you don't know what that is, I spoke about that in, the first video I made. That kind of racks up if you're going to stay for like 2 weeks and you haven't found an apartment, paying $50 every day or more, depending on where, kind of racks up if you're there for like 2 weeks. So that's almost $1,000. You can literally use that to pay rent for 2 months. So people kind of do the math and they're like, oh, I need an apartment. And yeah, so ideally people tend to look for apartments before they hop into the country, before they come into the country, just to obviously save costs. And last but not least, I would say is survival. This encompasses like a lot of things for me. And, we talk about business, starting a business, integrating into your community and even like finding local churches. So let me just start with like starting a business. So obviously a lot of people come in here. Some people end up starting things. I know a lot of people who have started things, and even people work. I would also add work into the whole survival part. And people are allowed to work here, but they're, like I've said before in one of my videos, there are actually not a lot of jobs that even cater to the natives, let alone international individuals, i.e., students. So they're not a lot, and the most common one is the call center type of jobs. If you're lucky, you get a job. If you're not, oh well. But ideally, people tend to start a business. I started my business. Follow me on Instagram, Hair Effect by NK. Shameless plug because, is dollar anybody's mate? But yeah, I have my business, and I also have now my peanut business. Again, patronize me because dollar is nobody's mate. So I have that, and on the side, I help students with their accommodation. So people do things here to make money. It's not far-fetched with the way inflation is moving crazy. Yeah, let's keep it pushing. Or if you love doing something and you feel like it's not common, you can definitely hop on that and make it a business. And if it resonates with people, people will patronize you. I.e., my peanut business. I realized that nobody was making that here, and I saw an opportunity to make that a monetizer. And I would say, if you feel led to do something, to start a business, especially if you cannot get a job, then do that. Churches, there are quite a few here. There are quite a few. And the religion here is mostly Christianity, but I don't think it's the type that is practiced in, most African nations. Are mostly Pentecostal, Anglicans, or Catholics. So yeah, we have a few Pentecostal churches here, so you will not be short of where to worship in the country. For mosque, I think they are. I think I've seen one before on Google Map. I don't know, but if there is, let me know in the comments. What else? What else? Also, integrating into school. I think a couple of schools here actually have orientation programs. So basically the parts where they introduce the new students to the environment of the school, platforms the school uses, and things like that. It's not something that's very common in my school. I remember I even brought it up, but see, let's not even get into that, okay? But like most schools will have an orientation program for new students, and yeah, like get you acquainted with the school and how everything works. And besides that, like every other thing, you figure it out: how to navigate bus routes, how to use the bus, how to use a taxi, how to go about, how to shop, how to get your card. Like all of that, it's not that hard, and you will figure it out. So basically, yeah, that's all I have to say in this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. We're trying to get to 2K in no time. See, I could be a rap artist. I don't know why I haven't considered that as a career. But okay, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in another video.